What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. Hey, you might have known, I've mentioned this in one of my videos that, I work in finance, I work in personal finance, and so a lot of things come out that are really interesting to me that I want to try out, and I try them out personally to really see how they work and, be able to attest to what they do and don't do. And so today I want to show you something called M1 or M1Finance.com, and it's a tool to help individual retail investors like you and me be able to buy things that otherwise we wouldn't be able to buy or invest in. Now, I'm not going to give you any investment advice here. I just want to show you what it does, kind of tell you, what are some of the unique things about it. I'm going to show you my login here, and then I'm going to tell you how to get an account for yourself with a couple of free bucks. But don't use anything that I show you here as some sort of endorsement or recommendation. Go ahead and make your own choices based on what's right for you, and seek out the help of an investment professional if you are going to invest. Now, first of all, M1Finance.com, I actually found it on the Side Hustle Nation podcast. It was referred to a couple of times by people that are looking to invest their money, and you might recognize investing as buying stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, bonds, those types of things. We're all looking for places to put money and invest money for growth. Now, one of the problems with investing in general is that a lot of stocks, especially if you open up a brokerage account. I showed you Robinhood, which is a free brokerage. Check out that video if you're interested in doing that and buying ETFs or stocks directly. But one of the problems is that a lot of stocks are just too expensive for the average investor. And I'm going to throw out things like Apple, which is $200 a share, Google, which is like $1,000 a share, Amazon, which is $2,000 a share. All names that you might want to invest in, but just like you and me, to put in a couple $1,000s to buy one share of Amazon might be just too big of a pill to swallow. So along comes M1 Finance, which actually really helped democratize this and make available investing to a large swath of people that just might not have that money. Now, here is my M1 account. I actually transferred in $200. You can log into your bank account. The easiest way to do this is set up an account, connect it to your bank account with whatever your login information, select the account. In my case, my checking account, I transferred $200 in, and then it is available to invest. The other thing that you will do is, as soon as you open up your account on M1Finance.com, you're going to create your own pie, quote unquote pie. And that's what this thing is right up here. This is my pie. And what you get to do is it'll show you a list of all the stocks that it has available to you that are basically available on a fractional share. And you just start clicking on the stocks that are interesting to you. Maybe it's Visa and Capital One and Biogen and American Express and Boeing and whatever, so you can just kind of pick your own pie. That is creating your portfolio. So all of those stocks that you choose are going to go into your own portfolio. So it's kind of like making your own mutual fund. You're picking all these investments, and then you get to do a little bit of allocation with that. And so, what I do here, and you can see that my pie slices are all different. What I did was I created my pie, I put in all my things, and then I get to select, by company, how much of that pie I want dedicated to it. So in the case of Amazon here, I made it about a third. Alphabet, I made it about a quarter. Apple, I made it about a fifth. A lot of these other companies that I threw in there, Love Bank of Hawaii, just a cool state to be in. They're all like 1%. So they're all very, very small slices of the pie. And one of the reasons I was so excited about this is that, as I just mentioned, Amazon, Alphabet, and Apple are all very expensive on a per share basis. So if you open a Robinhood account and you want to buy just one share, it's going to cost you a couple $100 at the minimum. And so, like I said, a lot of us just can't do that, especially in Amazon, companies that you might really like, that you might think are growing, that you might think have a really good future. It's hard to get in it. And so this is a way that I was able to move $200 in and have a bunch of that money, a good majority of that in these three companies that I wouldn't otherwise be able to invest in. Now you can change these percentages to whatever you like. That'll change your pie, and then you just click save. And then what it'll do is it'll reallocate your money, whatever money you have in your portfolio, based on those percentages. Now, the cool thing about this is that you can actually nudge your slices in a number of different ways. So I want to go back here to my portfolio, and what you can see is it shows you my portfolio. It shows you what I gained or lost today and the percentage. It shows me all my, actually down here, it shows me my removed slices, and it gives me an option to rebalance here. So if I can go into my pie at any time, change my percentages, and then hit rebalance, and it's going to move all my money into the correct percentages that I selected, okay? So you can always manage this by managing your pie slices. Now, because this is trading stock, even though M1 is making available to you a fractional share or just kind of part of a share of stock in some cases, it appears to only make those changes during trading hours. So the exchanges in the US are only open certain hours, so if you do it on the weekends or after hours, don't expect to see your actual allocations change. It's going to have to be during the trading day, during mostly working business hours. Okay, the other thing that's really interesting here is, and what I thought is that I could go into any one of these slices here, like Amazon, so I can click on it. And now it's going to bring up my Amazon portion. It's going to show you that in my particular portfolio, I actually have $105.60 in Amazon. And you might be asking, why is that? Well, before I get there, I want to show you. This is what I mean by a fractional share. So we know that Amazon is about $1,800 a share, just a little over. And so this is what I own, only 0.05941 shares of Amazon. But that gives me $105, and it gives me that ability to invest in Amazon in a way that I normally wouldn't, right? Because otherwise I'd have to come up with $1,800. Now, the cool thing about this is that I don't have to manage my portfolio just by managing the percentages of each slice of the pie. I can actually manage it by dollars right here. So now I click on Amazon, and I could click on Apple or Google or any of the other pie slices, and I could click on this button right here, buy, sell. And what I could do is I can't actually put in an order for a percentage or a piece of the share. I have to do it by dollars. And if you've ever traded, you understand what I mean. Most of the time we buy even lots, like 100 shares of something, or 10 shares of something, or 1,000 shares of something. You don't have to do that here. And in fact, because you're doing fractional shares, it's not going to actually let you do it that way. What you do is you buy it by dollars. So let's say I wanted to buy another $50 at Amazon. It would tell me that if I had the cash in here to do it, that it would do that, and I would be able to click continue, and it would add another $50 to my current Amazon balance. I could do the same thing by selling it too. I could actually unload some of the Amazon and reduce my position in it by dollars. So in some ways, it's working a little bit like mutual funds. When you buy and sell mutual funds, you buy them in dollars, which get translated into shares based on the net asset value. But here in the stock world, it's a little bit different. Even though you're trading in dollars, you are trading it by stock. Now, what I will tell you here too is that it appears if you do this at some point during the trading day, it will do it instantaneously, as far as I can tell, or pretty darn close. If you do it after hours on the weekend, it's not going to transact until the market is in session. So the cool thing about M1, like I said, is not just the functionality, which I think is really cool, being able to kind of set up your own portfolio, pick a bunch of things, but it's really the fact that you can get into a bunch of companies that you would otherwise not be able to afford. For a lot of years, a lot of people wanted to buy into Berkshire Hathaway, but the shares on Berkshire were anywhere from, 10, 15, $20,000, depending on when you were trying to buy. And so it was just out of the realm of possibility of most retail investors. But this kind of makes it available to you, a lot of different companies that you don't have to worry about what they're trading at in the absolute dollars and nominal dollars per share. You can buy as much as you can afford, which is great. It really makes some of those investments available to everyday people like us. If you want to check out M1, set up an account, I will put a link in the description. If you follow that link, I think you and I both get $10 funded to your account, so it's some free money there. The account minimum is $100, so you do have to transfer $100 from your funding source into the account to be able to set one up, but you'll get a 10% kicker right off the bat, I think. So you'll have $110 to play with. So I think it's a really awesome product. I'm really looking forward to, checking this out and using it more and more in the future here. But I really appreciate M1 for making things available to the rest of us. Check it out, m1finance.com. Peter Von Panda, out.